Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining our monthly Q&A session presented by Givecloud support and Trustraising.org. My name is Kimberly, and I'm a customer success advocate here at Givecloud. When I'm not hosting webinars like today, you'll find me in our chats and emails helping you wonderful folks answering questions and making sure you've got everything you need. So today we'll be covering campaigns driving donations with a purpose. I'm so lucky to be joined by Dan, our enablement lead, and Sarah, our operations and marketing lead today. If you have any questions, of course, during this session, please feel free to use that Q&A box located in the bottom right of your Zoom screen. In today's session, we'll be covering, so how do you plan a fundraising campaign? Very cool. Campaigns with Givecloud, and then we'll have our Q&A session with Givecloud customer success, that's me, at the end. So now I'm just going to pass it over to Sarah to get this party started. Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks, Kimberly. Thanks, everyone, for joining us this afternoon, this morning, or this evening, depending on where you're joining us from. It's pretty cool. There's a lot of us here today. And I think it never gets old for me that you kind of jump on a call like this or a webinar and you get to actually talk to people in different time zones in different countries. So I still think that's pretty cool. So thank you so much for joining us. And I won't go too off track down that tangent. So today we are talking about campaigns, like Kimberly said, driving donations with a purpose. So before we dive in, I just wanted to define how we'll be talking about campaigns during this session. So a campaign is a fundraising initiative that has a specific purpose or a need, and a campaign is time-bound or timely. All right, so we're all on the same page. So now, how do you plan a fundraising campaign? So first, I think it's important to identify your purpose. So understand your why. Before you go too deep into planning, make sure that your nonprofit has identified the reason why you're raising money on this campaign. Once you understand your why, you can create campaign goals to work towards. So I'm not sure how your team organizes around objectives and goals, so let's just keep it simple and a little tasty. So when I said tasty, I meant what's the cake you're baking? And what are the ingredients you need to make it delicious? So the cake is your objectives or your goals or what you want to accomplish during the campaign. And the ingredients are the milestones that you need to meet in order to get to the goal. So for example, your cake could be you need to fundraise for immediate disaster relief. And the ingredients for that cake could be to raise $50,000 for medical supplies and assistance. So once you have that yummy cake, your structured purpose and goal, you can start with your story. So this is a story you tell people, which is the narrative that's going to make that heart connection and compel them to donate to your fundraiser. Here's a really great exercise that you can craft to help you craft your story. So I always like to start small so it's not too overwhelming. So you can start with one sentence. So tell your story in that simple one sentence, then moving on to one paragraph. So your story in one paragraph, and then in 2 to 3 paragraphs. So these foundational story summaries can be used further along in communication and marketing material once you get farther down your campaign process. You'll be happy later on that you spent time doing this exercise at the beginning. So next, you want to move on to identifying your audience. So who are your people? Do you know who you're talking to? So knowing your audience is key to engagement in your campaign. The more you know about the audience, the more you can design design around how they speak, how they think, and how they interact with organizations like yours. So knowing their interests, their motivations, their challenges, and their demographics will help you design content that is going to be effective in making that heart connection. So I know you want to go hard with spreading the word about your campaign to maximize your reach. So try breaking down your audience into 3 different target groups with slightly different jobs to do. So let's look at these 3 different audience groups that you could have. First group is people that you're going to ask to give. So this could be your existing donors, new donors, lapsed donors, partners, and sponsors. Group number 2 are people that you're going to recruit to spread the word on your behalf. So this could be something like peer-to-peer fundraisers, social media advocates, your board of directors, volunteers, and your staff. And group number 3 are people you're going to ask to share. So this could include local news outlets, local radio stations, social media influencers, bloggers, just to name a few. So next, you'll want to brand your campaign. Of course, this is going to include your logo and your brand colors and your brand fonts that you already have. But in addition, you can also create a slogan or a message for your campaign. You're going to want to put together high-resolution photos. You're going to build a campaign landing page, which is not distracting and just super focused on this specific campaign. You'll want to create social media copy and images that are all around this branding and all around this one single campaign, as well as email copy to make sure your messaging gets across. So all this planning, it's going to help you keep a consistent messaging and build a strong campaign. So once you've moved on from branding your campaign, you can look at choosing your channels. So knowing your audience allows you to select the best channels for delivering your message. And when you focus on promotional campaigns on your ideal audience, you end up with better results and less wasted budget. So is anyone else a fan of spreadsheets here? Definitely am. So in the planning process, this is what I like to do. I like to create a spreadsheet with the most effective communication channels to reach your target audience, and then break it out into those 3 different groups, the ones we talked about, those that you're going to ask to give, those that you're going to ask to recruit, and those that you're going to ask to share. And then you can look at how you're going to reach each of those groups. So social media, email, blog posts, landing page, direct mail, phone call, text, paid ads, print media, posters, QR codes, and the list goes on. I have to take a breath. There isn't one golden ticket. I really wish there was, and I wish I could tell you what that was, but unfortunately there's no golden ticket. It's really about showing up consistently wherever your audience is. So in our last session, if you joined us for that, I brought up the marketing rule of 7. So I like to remind myself of this anytime I think things like, oh, I don't want to bother them. Is it too much? Or I just posted on Facebook. Should I really bother with an email as well? So remember this, a donor will need to see your organization 7 times before taking action. So this is your reminder, just like I remind myself, to just do it and reach one of those channels. So I know when it comes to your marketing efforts and my marketing efforts, we all like to understand, how do I know if it's actually working? So we want to associate something tangible with our output. So it's really important to remember to create UTMs. This is a simple code that can be attached to any URL for tracking purposes. And it's super helpful in understanding where your donors are coming from. So I like to use Google's campaign URL builder tool to easily add parameters to my URLs. So you can view UTM data in your Google Analytics, but even better, you can see it on an order level in Givecloud. It's really awesome. So this acquisition data is super valuable, and we'll go through a little bit further along in the session. We'll go through a little bit more detail about about how to use UTMs with Givecloud. So we'll move on. We'll go and talk about crafting your timeline. So this is plan, and yes, you got it, more planning. So you're going to want to break out your timeline to different timelines throughout your campaign. So starting with maybe before your campaign. So things you might want to do during that before your campaign is setup, recruitment, your soft launch. So maybe you want to raise 25 to 30% of your funds ahead of time in your soft launch, which looks great on your campaign thermometer when you launch fully. And it creates a bit of FOMO for those donors as well to join in. So during your time, like for your timeline, you can also have your during your campaign items, which could be at your halfway point updates. You want to demonstrate how funds have a real impact during your campaign. You'll include final calls like last week or last day to give. So remembering that a campaign is usually time bound. So these time sensitive communications can really help drive that urgency. and after your campaign. So items like celebrate how much was raised and express appreciation. You may want to share impact 1 month later, and maybe again 6 months later, sharing that impact. And if you're like me, I also like to prep all of my copy and images once I have my timeline laid out. Honestly, it doesn't matter how organized you are, there's always that last minute rush. So do as much as you can in advance so you're freed up during your campaign to make sure you can connect with supporters. So now that you've gone through all the prep work of identifying your campaign purpose, creating your story narrative, identifying your audience, creating your brand, you've chosen your channels to spread the word and draw attention to the campaign, you've crafted your timeline to execute your campaign, you've built a very strong foundation. So now you're going to want to pair your prep work with Givecloud's tools to turn all of your campaign attention into donation dollars that will really make a difference. So Dan is going to join in here and he's going to jump in to what you can do in Givecloud to set up for your next campaign. Take it away, Dan.
Thanks, Sarah. That's some really great info. So just before we dive into to what it looks like in Givecloud, just want to mention that you're likely posting your campaign on social media, on email, newsletters, various channels, and it's important that you link directly to the campaign donation page that corresponds to what your supporters connected with when they saw it on social media, right? They may not know entirely what your organization does or all the things you're involved with, but they can get on board with this specific campaign. Then later on, you have an opportunity to re-engage them and educate them on your organization and convert them to a long-term supporter. So let's have a look now at what campaign page could look like in Givecloud. So let me share my screen. All right. Now here we have a campaign. Am I sharing the right screen? Yeah. Here we have a campaign page for our disaster relief fund. Now it's an example that we've created to show you what this experience could look like, right? Now let's go through a couple of elements on this page. So right away, we can see there's an engaging image, feature image that we've used in the background here. We have a title and a summary that's directly related towards the campaign. And then we have a goal progress bar down here, which shows how much we're trying to raise. This is our goal. When we'd like to raise it by, and how much has been raised so far. And as people donate, like this progress bar will be updated automatically in real time. Then just scrolling down the page here, we have a couple of feature boxes or where we've put some additional content to really highlight what people's funds are going to be used for. And it helps give some transparency, right? And then scrolling down some more, we have the donation form. Now, this is a slick donation form that works well on different size screens and different size and different devices as well. And you'll notice that we only have a one-time option for giving here. There's no recurring options, no monthly, yearly, and so on. This is because we're running a timed campaign, right? And we're trying to raise these funds by this date. Now, depending on your campaign and your specific needs, let's say you're running something that's more of a longer term, then you may want to include recurring giving options as well. You can do, your monthlies, your yearlies, your quarterlies, and so on. And you can even set up rules where it's like giving monthly, but only for 6 months or for a year and things like that as well. So this is at a high level of what this campaign donation page could look like on Givecloud. Now, let's look at a couple ways we've highlighted this campaign on our site. So first and foremost, we have this featured button in our main menu, disaster relief. Now, we've put this here so that regardless of where you are on your site, it could be on any page, this is always easily accessible in your top menu and also on mobile as well. Secondly, on our homepage, we've decided to highlight our campaign at the top of our page, of our homepage. So this is one of the first things supporters are going to see when they visit our site. Now, in this example, we're raising funds for something that's very urgent, and we've highlighted it in red to kind of display that urgency, and it's at the top. It's the first thing you see. But depending on your campaign, you may want to highlight it a different way on your homepage, right? You may want to put a section somewhere lower down on your homepage instead, and maybe even something a bit different from what we've done, but there are options which we'll have a look at. Now, the third way we've highlighted this on our site is we've enabled a pop-up that shows up the first time a visitor comes to your site. So I'll show you what that looks like. Here we go. So there's a headline, there's a description, and then there's a clear call to action, which is going to take you directly to that donation page, our disaster relief donation page. Now, let's have a look at a high level on how to set up these pieces in Givecloud. And let's start with the campaign donation page. So this guy. So I'm going to hop over to Givecloud admin, and we're going to go to features, sell and fundraise items. And you can add a new item. I click on add at the top here, but we're going to have a look at our disaster relief campaign page, which we are referencing. So I want to highlight a couple things on the screen. There's quite a few, but I want to highlight some important ones. So obviously, this is where you put that featured image, and you want a name and a summary as well. And then the pricing option, we've chosen the today only or one-time option, but you can add more options if you need to here. Now, if we scroll down, here's where we can set up that goal, how much we want to raise and by what date. So just by filling this out, you're going to get that goal progress bar on your campaign page. Now let's look at a couple options on the right sidebar here. So first of all, template. We're working with the page with payment. Now this is going to give you that slick donation experience where payment information and billing information is all on one page, right? It's all kind of step by step, and you don't have to leave this page to complete your donation. The urge to give was there, and you want someone to be able to check out quickly. A couple other options to highlight here. We want to enable our social buttons, right? So that our supporters can share this easily in social media with their communities. And we're going to allow tax receipts because this is a receivable item. And we're also going to allow donor covers cost so that our supporters have that option to cover the fees when they're checking out. Couple other things to look at on this page, setting a URL. You can customize what that URL is so that when you share it on social media and so on, you want to share something that's like a nice URL, not with a lot of words and hard for people to enter. And Donor Perfect. Now, if you are using Donor Perfect, and you probably already know this, but for every campaign page you create, you want to fill out this Donor Perfect coding panel with applicable codes so that when Givecloud syncs a gift to Donor Perfect, it'll be coded the right way. Now, last thing on this page would be customizations. Now, depending on what type of template you use, and we're working with page with payment, there could be some optional customization options in this tab. And in here, we've put in this section content above buttons, we've put that additional content highlighting what people's funds are going to be used for. So this section right here. And the way we've added this is by using the templates which are available in Givecloud. So add template, and then we went to components, and we're using these 3 cards. So we just dropped in the 3 cards, and then just changed the images and the text that shows up there. So fairly straightforward to put that in. So that's it for your campaign page item. So just again, what that will look like or give you when you're finished setting that up. Now let's have a look at some of those options to highlight this campaign on our site. So let's start with that feature button in our menu on the top right here. So again, we're going to Givecloud admin, and we're going to go to features, website, site design, and header and sidebar. And we're going to scroll down to main menu, and under main menu, there's that primary button and that secondary button. And those are these 2 buttons on the top right here. And we've chosen to use the secondary button for our disaster relief. So we just enter the label and the URL, and then that button shows up on our site. Next, we'll look at the pop-up. So again, in site design under alerts and pop-up. And this is where you can configure that pop-up, what the messaging is, and where that call to action button takes your supporters to. The third thing that we did was on the homepage of our website. So that's in features, pages and menus, home. And here's that section that we added to the top of our homepage. And again, we've added this using the templates. So add template, and sections, and we chose the conversion bar. So we just dropped it in. You can see the one I just dropped in, and then we changed the text and the colors using the editor, and changed the button and the button label and color right in here. So you can, there are many options for the type of sections you want to add to your homepage. So you can choose the one that works best for your campaign. And it also depends on where you're going to highlight it, right? You can put it on different parts of your homepage. It doesn't have to be at the top. Just refresh that there. Okay, awesome. Now let's chat briefly about reporting on your campaign. So as donations come in, yes, there's a goal progress bar, so you can see how much you've raised towards your campaign just at a high level, but you may want to dive into some deeper reporting about your campaign. So there's a couple reports, and I'm going to show you them. So the first one would be contributions by product. So your campaigns are going to show up on this page in a listing. So if we look at our disaster relief one, we get some high level stats out here around, how many contributions and how much we've raised towards it and so on. But if we click into it, we get this cool graph showing contributions over time. So we can track, we can see how contributions are doing. So maybe on the 4th, we sent out a newsletter, and then the day after we saw a lot of donations coming in. So it's a good place to kind of analyze and compare it with the marketing strategies that Sarah was talking about earlier. Then over on the right here, we get some high level stats around how much we've raised. And then we'll get a listing here of all of our supporters who've contributed directly to this, this campaign. And you can click into it for more details, and you can even export this to Excel as well. Now, the other report we're going to look at is the contributions line items report. So that lives in contribution line items. Now, this report is really good because it breaks out the donor covers cost, or the fees, from how much is going directly to the fund. So in this example, we can click more filters, and we're going to say, show me all contributions related towards my campaign, which is my disaster relief. And I only have one donation towards it. But here we can see that someone donated $1,029.20, and this much of it was for donors covers cost, and this much of it was directly to the fund. So this is a great report to use to see how much is going towards the fund versus how much your donors are covering in fees. And you can even filter for that. You can say, I only want to see the fees, or I only want to see how much is going towards the fund as well. Awesome. So as Sarah mentioned, using UTMs and referral sources is highly recommended to track supporter acquisition, especially if you are sharing this campaign on different channels, right? Your email versus Instagram versus Facebook, and so on. This will allow you to report and track on what channels most of your donations are coming through and how supporters are being referred to your site. So you get to know, well, what's working and what's not working. We have a great article on this that will be linked to in the chat. It's called Supporter Acquisition Tracking, that will go through this in a lot of detail. But in Givecloud, you can report on UTMs and referral sources for your contributions. So in contributions, all contributions, let's hit more filters. And here we can see those filters for those UTM trackings, your sources, mediums, campaigns, content. And as Sarah mentioned, Google has a great tool to help you build your URLs with UTMs in them, so then you can share them, and then that data is collected as people click and donate through your site. Awesome. Now I'm going to hand it back over to Kimberly for the Q&A portion of the session.
Thanks so much, Dan. That was incredible. Love the info. Always learn something new with you too on the call, so I appreciate it. So now we're going to spend some time answering questions. We got some questions in through the registration, so we're going to answer some of those. And of course, feel free to add any additional questions into that QA box in the bottom right-hand corner of your Zoom screen. The first question I want to cover, it was a really interesting one we got through the registration form. So thank you. I forget who sent it in, so apologies, but thank you for whoever sent it in. and it's all around preparing for emergencies. So preparing for emergencies isn't much different than what Sarah already and Dan, of course, already shared. It's all about being prepared and having something planned and ready to go within your Givecloud system and admin, as well as externally within your team. So a few things that we recommend doing if you're preparing for an emergency and you need to get something up and running really, really quickly is create an item template for your emergencies. You know, have some preset item templates that you can quickly create a campaign with basic information that you need to get to your supporters. So this template can have a boilerplate of content already set up. That's just like some, you know, already pre-made text built into the page content section that you can just edit really quickly, and you can just send on its way without having to think about, you know, specific language around it. Of course, Givecloud offers template called campaign as well. So when you select that add drop-down menu, when you go to your items page, you can just even use that if you're really in a pinch and need something set up quickly. So having something already pre-built out and ready to go as a template in Givecloud can help you with that. The next we recommend is create an emergency plan with your team. So identify and determine who are your decision makers, your coordinators, and your communicators on your team when an emergency strikes. Ask yourself who will have the final say where the funds will go and how much is needed to be fundraised. Who's going to be the best person to speak to volunteers, supporters, and the media? Who in Givecloud can create and manage that donation experience, and who will be managing your social media presence? So, you know, who are those people that can have those responsibilities? By having specific members of your organization designated for these roles, you will then reduce redundancies and possible confusion when you're really in a time of need. And then last, we do recommend to work with your community and social networks to spread the awareness. You know, consider making the campaign available for peer-to-peer fundraising, partner with local businesses and other organizations, host an event if you have the capacity, and become a source of information for your community and provide updates. You know, that is a bit of extra work, but if you can become that source of information, then, you know, you're really able to rally your community around you with that info. Anyways, I hope that answers that question. We really appreciated that one, and I hope that information does help. So thank you to whoever sent that.
That was good. You mentioned something, Kimberly, kind of dovetails into another question that we got around,
awesome.
Around using peer-to-peer as well to help these campaigns.
Yes. Yes.
Which is a great idea. Yeah, so I'm going to show you what we have set up here. Once I can find it, here we go. I guess I need to share my screen also. Find it. Here we go. Share screen. There we go. Yeah. So what we've done is in this example, we want people to be able to help how they can, right? And when people donate, we want to give them the option of taking an extra step to help us fundraise on your behalf, right? So on the thank you page, now this is the thank you page people are going to be sent to when they complete their donation. There's this option here to help us fundraise, to create your own fundraising page to share with your community. Now you can make this messaging more specific to the campaign you have going on at the time. But on the thank you page, someone can say, yep, I want to start a fundraiser. And yep, I want to help you fundraise for disaster relief. Then they finish filling out the fundraising form, which is just a couple fields, create their page, and now they can share that with their friends and family and help fundraise on your behalf. So using peer-to-peer is also a great idea for helping to raise money towards that campaign. And also the good thing about this is that if someone makes a fundraiser towards your campaign and they share it with the community and people donate through that fundraiser, the progress bar on your main donation page will be updated as well with any donations that come through other peer-to-peer pages related to this campaign. So this will always be a true reflection of how much you've raised towards that campaign. Sounds good?
Yeah, that was awesome. Thanks
Yeah,
so
no
much for
problem.
sharing that.
Don't want to go on a rant, but it also does go into another question that we got around how do you you may be receiving like checks and cash and offline payments towards your campaign, and you want to update your progress bar to show to be up to date with what you've received in terms of cash and checks and so on, right? And to do that, the best way we recommend to do that is by using the point of sale, the POS. So in your Givecloud admin, if I can get back to it, you want to click on the POS. And this is a great place for you to be able to enter donations that come in offline internally, right? So we click on funds, we go for our disaster relief, and we will enter that and continue checkout. And any donations we put through the POS towards our disaster relief will also update this goal progress bar as well.
Nice. And of course, within our point of sale, you do have a choice of using, there's payment choices of checks, so you can actually record that check number. There's also cash and other being a really great option if you want to capture maybe a payment that's not one of those 3 options. So if it's e-transfer, wire transfer, hugs, whatever type of payment it is, you can record it that way. So yeah, awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Dan. Yes, that's a good one. We have one question as well around how to set up a thank you email for campaigns. So this is a great one. So I'm based on the question, I'm assuming you're thinking about like a custom email, something outside of that contribution received email that is standard with Givecloud. So if you want to do a custom email that is specific to a campaign item, Dan, do you mind sharing your screen? Thank you so much. What you want to do is you want to go into communicate and then all automated emails. Now you're going to scroll down to the bottom and you're going to select a new email. I think that's what it says. Yes. Now from here, you're going to add a name. So you want to make sure it's very clear what this email is for. So if it's for summer campaign or, holiday campaign, you want to be very, very clear that it's about that because this is going to be assigned to that specific item. You want to enable the status, and then under triggers, you want to select product. So that the specific product. Now you'll be able to choose which product or item that you're going to be assigning it to from that list. You'll see there's a drop down. And if you only want this email to be sent, so you don't want that, the general confirmation email we always send to folks, you can enable or disable what Dan is toggling right there to either when it enabled, it does not send the generic contribution received, or when it's disabled, then it will also send it. So you can choose. Now from here, it's very similar to all the rest of the email setups that you see in Givecloud. You're able to customize the to section, the subject. You can also add a CC or a BCC to this email. And then under the email body, there are, you have specific merge tags you can use with custom emails. So you can use anything in the contribution received section, or the specific product is purchased section. So those merge tags can be used to create a dynamic email that looks very personal and thoughtful towards that specific donor, pulling in information from the contribution they provided without having to actually write individual letters to each of these people who are wonderful and supported your cause. So so those are just some ways that you can set up that custom email. Yeah, I hope that helps answer that one. That's a good question.
Awesome.
Okay, we've got a few more as well. So let me just continue on here. What do I do when my campaign has finished?
Good one.
Yeah, Dan, do you mind taking that one? Since you got
yeah. So when your campaign is finished, you're gonna be sure to, if you've highlighted it anywhere on your website, you want to be sure to remove those elements, right? Like, so in our example, we had it on the home page, we had that button up on the top right menu. We want to remove those because we're not promoting this campaign anymore. We want to make sure we take the donation page offline as well, so that we don't want funds to be going through that donation page. And thirdly, we want to redirect that URL. So when we've set a URL on our campaign, but there are probably links still out there, right? In newsletters, on social media, and so on. So people could potentially still be clicking on those links, but we don't want them to land on a broken page. So we'd want to set up a redirect of that URL to a new URL. Maybe there's another campaign you're promoting at the moment, or maybe you want to just carry them to your general fund instead, or to the homepage of your site. So that'll be my 3 recommendations for what to do when it's finished. Your campaign is finished.
Love that. Thanks so much, Dan.
No problem.
Now we've got, actually, this next question is kind of related to campaigns, but also kind of related to, I say, probably general Givecloud, which is just a great question, is a question around promoting and informing around unrestricted gifts. Now, I know unrestricted giving and gifts and donations can vary around the rules depending on where you live in the world. And what is required of you as a nonprofit to share, so people know that what you're doing is a unrestricted gift. Of course, having like a general donation page is definitely the safest bet. Then people know, regardless of when they're giving to that it could be open to any unrestricted giving. There's also, we've seen in some organizations that they have been able to add a disclaimer saying, even if there is a designation at the time, that they are based on, their laws and restrictions around nonprofit work and how they collect money, they are allowed to use that funds for other means. So depending on where you live, you may want to check with like a legal expert or accountant or something about that, if that's something you can do, but that could be an option. It's also, we do offer to a way that folks, if you want to add like designations and choices for people to give, but you want to give them multiple choices to give, we offer things like split fund pages, which allows folks to give to multiple funds all at once. So if I wanted to give $5 to your general fund, or if I wanted to give $10 as well to a specific program or restricted fund, I can do that. We also offer a donation page that allows you to do designations, so folks can choose whether it is going to be unrestricted or restricted fund on that single page. So you have a lot of options. Again, though, of course, keep in mind that what you do may have to be different versus another nonprofit based on where you live and where you're located. But we definitely give you lots of options to help with unrestricted giving.
Awesome.
Cool. And then, I think this is our last question. I love it. It's just a great question about one of our partners. So I assume most folks joining us today probably either have heard of Donor Perfect or are using Donor Perfect. So it is one of our integration partners that we work with. And this person asked, how do gifts and purchases from Givecloud show up in Donor Perfect? And how do we download them for processing?
Ooh.
So that's Dan, do you mind actually showing your screen? Because that might be the easiest.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a bit to it, and there's a lot of there's a lot of different touch points where data is pushed to Donor Perfect, and some touch points on when we get data back and so on. So I think rather than going through those, because it'll take us a long time, we have a great training module specifically on Donor Perfect and the integration. There's like 6 or 7 videos in there. And it shows you, it walks through the entire integration and shows you the points where data is pushed and so on. And we can drop that in the
got it here.
Whatchamacallit down there so people can access it. Do you have the link?
Yeah, so we just added a link to our chat. Training tutorials, it links directly to the YouTube playlist. Of course, also you can find it as well on our onboarding site too. So we'll add that as well below where you can find those videos. So you have 2 places to go to find those specific training videos and modules.
I think that'll be very beneficial. Whoever asked that question, this will give you all the information you need. And obviously you can always reach out to us and support if you have more questions.
Yeah, now you have a face to the name, so you can send me a chat and I can help you with that. Awesome. Well, those are all of our questions for today. Thank you so much for attending today's Q&A session. We hope that we've simplified the how so you can focus on the why. If you have any questions, please reach out to us at support@givecloud.com or tap that chat button in the bottom right-hand corner of your Givecloud admin screen and we'll be there to help. We are here for you Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For additional support, check out our help center at help.givecloud.com. Follow and subscribe to our YouTube channel and Instagram at Givecloud. And deep dive into online fundraising and how you can improve your experience with Trustraising.org. To rewatch or share this recording, we're going to post them on our onboarding.givecloud.com/sessions page. It's also in the chat. Have a wonderful day, world changers, and we hope to see you soon. Thanks so much.